All right. It looks like we're getting connected live now. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. My name is Tammy Anderson Ward, and I'm the conference producer for the Energy Healing Conferences. And today I'm super excited because we have some of our just really incredible speakers from the St. George Conference that are tuning in with us today. They're going to be giving us a small taste of what they're going to be doing, what they're going to be offering at the St. George Conference. And I know many of you, either you live too far away or you're not able to come for whatever reason. And I'm excited because I feel like when we do these speaker spotlights, it gives you the opportunity to kind of get a taste of what's going on. And I feel like that's just really helpful. If it were me and I was trying to decide if I wanted to go, I just feel like that would be really supportive. It's one of the reasons why we started doing these speaker spotlights. And so let me tune in today and tell you a little bit about who is going to be speaking. The first one that we have is the amazing Kathy Watts. And Kathy is a resident of Texas. She lives near San Antonio, and people sometimes don't know that. They think that she lives closer because she's attended so many of our conferences as a speaker. But she actually lives in Texas. She flies out every single time, and I feel so honored to have her come. She's come to my home personally and mapped out my house. She uses a alternate feng shui technique that she developed herself. And she has a complete workbook. She has a whole course that she teaches, and she literally makes such a difference for people. If you've ever been to her class or worked with her virtually or in person, will you go ahead and give her a shout out so that other people can kind of get to know her a little bit and what your experience was from her? She's so much fun. Oh, hey, Kathy, you're in Vegas today. Awesome. Shauna says, good morning. I have spotty internet. Hopefully it will stay on. Yeah, I hope it'll stay on as well. That'll be great. Anyway, I am just so excited, and I want to get to know who's on just a little bit more. So I know Kathy, I know Shauna. Who else is joining us? Will you tell us where you're tuning in from? Is this your first time? Have you been on multiple times? We'd love to be able to connect with you and find out what it is that you're looking for today as well. The particular event that we're talking about for the St. George Conference is happening on April 30th. And just as a side note, I'm going to go ahead and put the link down here in the comments. So if you maybe hadn't heard of it yet and you want to be able to check it out, you can. Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Hey, guys. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. That's awesome. So there's the link that you can click right on that, and it will take you over to the page, and it'll literally walk you through where it is, when it is, how much, all the things. There's pictures of the location. There's videos as well. Right now, we are looking for a few more volunteers. So if you already know you're in the area or that you'd like to go and you don't mind helping out for an hour or two, our volunteers do not help out the entire day. We actually break them up into shifts, so it's just a small portion of your experience there at the conference. You can also see a schedule. There's an updated, the final live schedule is listed on that same link as well. You can click on that. In addition to dozens of vendors that we're going to be having. There's local crystal shops. We have people who are coming in like the the Vibe Jewelry Company. There we go. We have all kinds of experiences for you in addition to the shopping. For example, we have the complimentary light therapy that is sponsored through Lumaceuticals with Marta de Berard, and Vicky will be there this time. We also have things like generational healing, NLP, hypnotherapy, amino acids. You should also be able to find some other things like natural body care and health care for the skin as well. There's an herbal company that's coming in that deals specifically with helping people with chronic pain. There's some microcurrent frequency devices as well. We also have a local naturopath physician I'm so excited to meet her. She's going to be so much fun. The Namaste Healing Center, as well as the Free Will Healing Center. I'm just so excited, you guys. There's so many fun things. lots of first-time speakers, first-time vendors. It's going to be a great time as well. Yes. There's so many fun things. I love it. Blackfoot, Idaho, every Friday. I love it. That's awesome. Todd, you're tuning in from Boise, Idaho. I did not know that. He's going to be joining us as a speaker at the conference as well. Yes. This is so good. Oh, wow, Shauna, that's crazy. That's really crazy cool. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do a brief intro for the speakers that are going to be tuning in today. I do want to do some giveaways though. So if you do want to do some shout outs for any of the speakers, if you'd like to share this video, every comment that you make is going to get you entered into another chance. And what I have today for giveaways is, of course, there's going to be some live St. George tickets to be had. We also would like to do a bundle of gemstones and crystals that we're going to send your way. This is including also some bracelets and a pair of tickets to our summer conference as well, which we haven't even started giving away yet. So you'd be the first person to get a pair of tickets for that one. By the way, that one is being held on June 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Ogden, Utah. For those of you who are interested in coming as a vendor, please let me know if you're interested in coming as a speaker. There is an apply to speak button on our website. You can go fill that out right away. It just got updated, so now it is completely fresh and intended for our Ogden conference. And if you'd like to be a volunteer, we are looking for about 120 volunteers to help us run that event, in addition to our marketing committee. Now, if you're on the marketing committee, you actually are not going to be doing anything at the actual conference. Your work is all done ahead of time. So we just got a box of 5,000 of these, and these are cards that we're going to be literally spreading all over the state of Utah and, of course, in other states as well. So this one here, it just says Ogden, Utah, the dates, and it has the website because this website did just open up the early bird pricing for this conference. It says group sessions, outdoor drum circles, sound bath experiences, musicians, yoga, crystal vendors. We literally are going to have about 120 plus vendor spaces. It's huge, you guys. It lasts for 3 days. We're going to have an art gallery. We're going to have a self-guided labyrinth. It's huge. It's round, and outside it's going to be absolutely stunning. If you are interested in that, I'm going to go ahead and throw my email up here across the screen. You can email me and let me know if you need a pair of tickets to St. George. Send me an email right now for that. If you would like to be on our marketing committee and find out more about what we do to market our events, we do a ton of behind the scenes work that people don't even know about. And we're going to be totally hooking people up with that. We also have some really big sponsors that are coming in, including the board that I'm on with the NCCOEP. You guys know about them. I've had several of them on before and been talking about them. Dr. Brian Daly, of course, from New York. He is an energy medicine expert. He is actually a Reiki master for the last 30 years, in addition to being an emergency medicine physician as well. So many awesome things. If you're like, I don't really want to be on the volunteer committee, but maybe you want to put some of these in your shop or your wellness center or spread them around to a retreat that you're going to or another event, please let me know. I just need your mailing address sent to my email here. This is my private email. No one else gets it, just me. So you can go ahead and give me your mailing address and let me know how many you would like. Like I said, I just got 5,000. We're intending on getting another 5,000 with even more details in the next couple weeks added to the cards. This says, this event is sure to be the best annual summer conference yet. We are expecting over 4,000 attendees, and we will be joined by scientists from national research organizations from all over the country. This is an indoor and outdoor event unlike anything you've ever experienced before. Mark your calendar and stay tuned. So I'm excited as heck about that as well. I do want to share from the bottom of my heart something that is really important to me as well. you know that these conferences wouldn't happen without those volunteers and without that support. So I really just want to say thank you right from the start, right from the very beginning. When I started doing these conferences back in 2014, I didn't have any employees. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I literally had 7 kids that I was homeschooling at the time, and I was pregnant with my 8th baby. People say, why did you do that? Like, what drove you to do that? You guys, the years previous had been having some massive debt in regards to medical bills. And I went on a journey of getting that paid off, but then also I didn't want to go back into that debt. I wanted to empower people. I wanted to empower myself. And I'm really grateful for the people that came across my path. You guys, I really want to make it affordable, accessible. I think anyone should know about this. I mean, it's your health, it's your wellness, it's your well-being, it's your mind, body, spirit. Like, no one should ever, for any reason, hold that back. And so I am always looking for ways to be able to help empower people, especially moms, but everyone for sure. Just because I'm a mom of 8 kids, that's why that's so important to me. But anyway, I digress. I'm a little excited over here. So we have our first speaker that's going to be joining us. So let me go ahead and do some of these giveaways. Again, this is how I'm doing this first giveaway. If you would like a pair of tickets to the St. George Conference, this is the link right here. Boom. There we go. Tammy@hopehavenevents.com. Send me over a quick email and let me know that you'd like that. And I personally will respond to you. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to have you do is I'd love to have you, if you're interested in getting some of these for your local area or to pass out to some friends. I don't even care if you just want like 5. I don't care. I will ship them out to you. In addition, I will send you out a gift. Okay, now that's our first giveaways. Next one that I'm going to do is for a bundle of some gemstones. So let me go ahead. I'm going to look through the comments really quick, and I'm going to find the first person who says they shared. Shauna Rocks Anderson, you are the first person to say that you shared. So I'm going to be sending that your way, and I don't have your address memorized. So will you maybe just send me a quick email with your mailing address, and I will be happy to send that to you. Perfect. I can do that as well. That's wonderful. Okay, you guys, our first speaker, let me go ahead and introduce you. Thank you so much, Mary. If you can send me your mailing address to my email, that would be fantastic as well. And thank you guys for your support. It really means a lot to me. I couldn't do it without you. Okay, so the very first person that we're going to be bringing on today is Kathy Watts. And she's going to be speaking on emotions and the home. And I'm really grateful right now. I have somebody upstairs helping tidy up just a little bit so that I can be doing this with all of you. And, you know, having still 4 boys at home and a little girl, this is like a big deal. Kathy Watts is a popular speaker and teacher. Heck yes, she is. She is known as an idea generator, possibly detector, abundance generator, and spontaneous creator who shows everyone how to have fun while doing meaningful work. You guys, that is the epitome of Kathy, and I'm so excited. She's going to be joining us at the St. George Conference. Her class is at 10 a.m. And when you go to her booth, you're going to notice some different things that are out of the ordinary, not like other booths. Definitely, I encourage you to stop by and see what she's got there. She says this interactive class will teach you how emotions and clutter are connected. She says, we will do some healing protocols and learning. Volunteers chosen from the audience drive this dynamic and powerful session. You can have the home of your dreams. Come and find out how. And I'm super excited to have her joining us today to give us a little taste of that. And maybe even you'll get to connect with her, even if you're not able to attend the St. George Conference. I'm going to go ahead and bring on to our virtual stage today the amazing Kathy Watts.
Hi, Tammy. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you, my friend?
Good. Can you hear me okay on these headphones?
Yes, I can.
I'm in a hotel and I don't have my usual like apparatus, you know, and all that stuff. So I'm on my headphones. So you guys can hear me. And I got this rinky-dink light here.
That's awesome. It's probably better than nothing. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump off and turn the time over to you. I've already read your bio and your intro, but I know you are so much fun. So I'm going to go ahead.
All right. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Hope you guys can hear me okay. So excited to be here today. I am so thrilled to go to St. George. I love St. George. I love that area. I love all the people there. I've been there a couple of times. I've never done a conference there. I've done a couple of retreats, but the area is just so beautiful. I mean, it's just amazing. You guys who live there, you are so lucky. I'm sure you really, really love it out there. So I'm thrilled to come and connect with you. The people of St. George are some of the best people in the world, and I just feel privileged to get to travel and do this that I do. And so you're probably saying, well, what do you do? Okay, well, so Tammy read my bio, but yes, it's all about homes. And that's why she was saying my booth is a little bit different, because it's like we're talking about your home, how to set up your home so that it's a happy space. What does that mean? And what are we talking about? And so what I like to do on the floor, you'll see when you come to my booth, is I do like this masking tape where I do the grid as if my booth is your home, and I show you like all the different sections. Okay, so back up. What is a grid? What are we talking about? So I use modified feng shui principles. So feng shui has been around for thousands of years, and somebody really, really, really smart, or more probably, I should say, many people, developed a system over the years where they figured out a map of your mind. What does that mean? That means that your mind, whatever certain attributes, it's going to show up in your home. Like, for example, if you have scarcity mindset that you're trying to work through, it's going to show up in your abundance corner. Where's your abundance corner? If you stand at your front door and it's your back left corner, think about that space. Is that a clutter magnet? Do you find that you put stuff there that you don't know what to do with? If you have like laundry that needs to be folded and you don't know what to do with it, do you put it in that room? Most of the time, the answer is yes. I know. I have the same thing. Whenever I go to a conference, for example, I find that this is my bedroom, and all of a sudden it's like, where did all this clutter come from? All these papers, all these laundry that needs to be folded, all this random stuff, and I'm like, am I having scarcity thoughts? Am I getting into scarcity? Am I getting into that feeling of, I'm spending all this money on a conference and I'm going to lose it all and you're not going to have any money? And yes, all those things show up for me, and I can see there. So my home tells me, there it is. There's what you're feeling right there. It's showing up in your space, and it's telling you this so you can now do something about it. Like now I'm like, okay, so every time that starts to happen, I like work on my mindset. I work on my abundance, all those things that we learn in other avenues. You can bring it in because now you know, okay, scarcity is showing up for me, and I need to work through that. Does that make sense, you guys? That's what I'm talking about. It's just like clutter a lot of times tells us something. Have you ever thought about that? I know. Sometimes we look at our clutter and we think, oh, I'm a terrible person, or I'm not a good housekeeper, or I'm lazy. What are the things that go in your head when you have a lot of clutter show up in your home? I'm just blah blah blah, or I'm not organized, right? I'm not organized. I'm not good enough. That's the basic thing. But what if I were to shift it and tell you that actually it's telling you something that you may not already recognize? Maybe it's telling you that there is an emotion that you could benefit from processing, from releasing, from working through. Because you see, emotions are neither good nor bad, right? They're not. They just tell us something. They tell us a lot of things. And it's the limiting beliefs that can become a blockage. So we want to identify the emotion and release that limiting belief. I'll give you an example. Anger. I'm not talking about malice. That's a whole different banana. I'm talking about anger. Anger is often thought of as a very negative emotion. But what if we were to say that anger simply presents itself when your boundaries have been crossed? And if you're someone like me, and you always hear this in the world, Set your boundaries. Do these things with your boundaries. Know your boundaries. Communicate them. But what if you're like me and you don't know really what your boundaries are? So what happens is there's a section in your home called the wood section that's going to tell you when your boundaries have been crossed, because it's going to say, boom, wood section is going to get cluttered. You're going to feel that anger that hasn't been expressed yet, that tells you your boundaries have been crossed. And then you can go through the process of saying, okay, when could that have happened, and like thinking about it and maybe journaling it out, and then you can discover, oh yes, here's where my boundary was crossed. I didn't realize this was important to me, but it is, and now I know, and now I can communicate that to other people, not in a space of anger or malice or bitterness, but in tranquility, where I'm like, hey, FYI, this is important to me. I just realized this. I didn't know it before, but now I know this is important to me, and here it is. I give you an example, and so it could even be like a weird like boundary thing. Okay, because I'm just gonna tell you my weird boundary thing is I am not a fan of when my husband does my laundry. Don't like it. So clutter was showing up for me this week, and I was like, what's happening? It was in my wood section, and I was like, okay, anger, there it is. What boundaries of mine have been crossed? What's happening? Let me look into it. And I realized that. And so I communicate that to my husband and say, appreciate you doing the laundry, but honestly, I don't really want you to. Just let me do it. You do yours and let me do mine, okay? It's a weird thing, I accept, but it is important to me. So just let me do it. Okay, all good, right? And now he knows, and he'd be like, okay, well, if you want me to do laundry, no sweat off my back. I'll just do my own, easy peasy. And he would say, well, I thought I was helping you, and I would say, I appreciate the help, but you could help me in this other way, because this actually causes me more stress. I know, I know, it's a little weird. You're probably thinking, why wouldn't you just let him do your laundry? I just have to tell you, it's a weird thing. It's almost like a trauma response in a weird way, but not to get too personal. But I can like communicate that now to other people. I can just be like, hey, FYI, this is important to me, and so on. So you can see how powerful just that's just like one little example of where clutter revealed to me. And then the other example was the scarcity mindset that's happening. So when you come to my booth, or if you're not able to come to my booth, I've got this link below right here, this little ticker line that's going by. It says calendly.com. This is where you go. This is a website to set up a free 30-minute meeting with me, where we can talk about some of your spaces and I can diagnose them free. I do this. I love to do this. I would just talk all the time about this with everybody. And so I would love for you to make an appointment with me at a time that's convenient for you, which is why I do the calendar thing, because then you can pick a time that works for you and we can connect and have a one-on-one, and we can talk about where does clutter show up, and then I can diagnose it and see, this is why, maybe this is here, and maybe this is what's happening, and see if that's supportive and helps you in doing that things. And then we can turn this negative thing that sometimes comes into our lives and tries to bring us down into a state of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, into a powerful diagnostic tool that's like, okay, there it's showing up. What do I need to, what's going on, and why? And so what are some of the emotions that we cover? It covers the gamut. We got guilt, fear, overwhelm, anger, let's talk about scarcity, talking about that before, shame, blame, worry, rebellion or failure energy, and grief. So you see, it's like all of them that tell us something, that can give us that information that we need to process things. Because the key thing I want you to know is that there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are perfect. You are awesome. We are just always healing. We're always receiving more information. We're always having life happen to us. And sometimes we're in a space where we have an emotional event that we're not able to process at one time. shut down, pandemic, all those things. I mean, all those things. Tammy, am I allowed to say the P word? Um, all those things happening, big emotional event. Have we had a chance to process it yet? I don't think I have. I think I'm still processing it. I think that's why I feel a little puffy, like that cortisol is still processing and is a big event. So that might show up in your space and it might make, and it could make you feel bad about yourself when actually it's something that could be a powerful diagnostic tool where you could be like, oh, all right, I'm still experiencing a lot of grief. Or or like worry, where you're like, I'm in that analysis process where I'm all in my head. Okay, this is good to know. Now I need to make action steps, right? Or you could be in a space where I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm overwhelmed, like the weight of the world is on my shoulders and I'm all alone. And then you say, okay, well, that's beautiful because now I know what I need to do is the opposite, is start to build connections through outreach, like actually going and reaching out and building connections, because that's what helps that overwhelm, is building connections. This is all the stuff I cover in my class and so on. So that's kind of the basis of what we're talking about here. And in class, when you come to my class next Saturday, I do take volunteers from the audience who would like to share with me about their house. Like they usually say, well, here's this, blah, blah, blah. Here's where my clutter really problem is. And then as a group, we do the healing protocols that together to process that emotion. So it's really interactive and dynamic class that I love to do so much because I found that a lot of times the people who volunteer almost speak for the whole group. Usually they're like, everybody in the group is like, yeah, I have that too. And then we can all clear that together. And that's beautiful. So that is kind of what, and it's in a nutshell and so on. Um, the reason I started doing this was because, like a lot of you, I had a clutter problem. I used to have real estate agents come into my house and say, "Oh, you're a collector," and my daughter-in-law is a minimalist, and she's just like really, 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 really good at that. And it got me to thinking about because sometimes I would just look at my stuff and I'd be like, I can't even go. I can't even. I just can't even. I can't even go through it. I don't even know what this is. I don't know what's happening. I experienced a lot of loss where my mother died young from breast cancer. My mother-in-law passed away. My father-in-law, my two of my brother-in-laws, and so on. And we had a lot of their stuff. We had inherited a lot of their things. And I was just like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like where you're like, I don't even know what to do. Is this a treasure or is this trash or what's happening here? Have you felt that in your space? That's what I was feeling. And so I was like, well, what is going on here? And how can I process it? Why is it that some people why is it that some are able to just really process clutter and I feel like I'm not. I feel like I am just like overwhelmed. I mean, it was so bad that when I moved to Minnesota, I had an 18-wheeler and a half full of stuff. And I always talk about that because it's unbelievable. There's only three of us, three people who lived in our household at the time. And we had an entire 18-wheeler and a half. That's a lot. And when the movers would come in and say, I hope you're moving to a bigger place, you know you're in trouble. You're like, why? Do I have a lot of things? So, movers would show up, the packers, and they'd always be like, oh my gosh. Okay. So a lot of these were treasures. A lot of these were treasures. But what was it that I could let go? I never knew. And you may hear about a lot of these systems of like the Marie Kondo is so good. And she says, what sparks joy? But sometimes you might be in a space where you're like, well, I don't even know what makes me feel joy. That's kind of the place where I was like, I can't even go through it. I can't even process it. I just can't. I can't even. I'm in a space of like, and I don't even know what to do. I don't know if you felt like that. I have. And so what I did was I just kind of sat down and really tried to solve that problem. and took a deep dive into it because I was raised in a lovely family. I love my family, but we were never good, I would say, at emotions. My grandfather was British, very much stiff upper lip, repression. No, wait, no, there was no crying. There was really no expression of emotions. I was considered kind of like they don't know what to do with me because I was too I'm very animated. So they're always like, what are we gonna do with you? So if you've ever experienced that, so this was like an answer to me to kind of figure out, well, what emotion am I feeling by what is the condition of my house? Like, what is the state of my house right now? Where does it feel like? Where are my trouble spots and why? What's showing up there? Like, for example, my middle section is the grief. And I still have a lot of grief from my mother's death. It shows up all the time. And when I can see that, I'm like, okay, let's see if I can release a little bit because you can't always release all of it at once. It's not possible. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of emotion, but maybe I can process a little bit at a time, and then the section clears up, and then it's gonna do it again. I'm like, okay, there it is again. Okay, now I'm gonna release a little bit more, and it's like a nice little reminder that okay, you're ready. Almost like you're ready. It like tells me you're ready to release a little bit more grief in your space. And so, because this system was so powerful, I started teaching it to my friends, and then I started going to these conferences. And it's the stories that I hear from other people that keep me going. I hear all the time about the miracles and the amazing things that happen when people align their space. When they set it up so that the elements are balanced, so that you have the right colors and the right sections, and so that you are able to use it as a tool to help you process emotions. It's miracles. What ends up happening a lot of times is that their home becomes a sanctuary where they can really process their thoughts. They can feel emotions. I don't know if you've ever been in a space where you feel like you can't feel emotions because it's not safe. Their home becomes a safe place where they know they can feel them and release them. They're not going to get trapped or stuck. They're going to flow because we have that flow created in the space. Thoughts the same way. You have that mental space to process your thoughts. You have the emotional space to process your feelings. You have the physical space to process both of those thoughts and feelings. They're not going to get stuck in your space. And then miracles happen because you're almost like the person just blooms like a flower because they finally have this sanctuary to be themselves and to feel all the feels, to think all the things, and to figure out who they really are, who they truly are. Over and over again, I've seen this, and that's why I keep going, and that's why I do live in Texas and I fly to Utah because I will fly all over the world. Even if I just meet one person that's interested, I will fly all over the world to meet that one person to change their life because it will change their life. That's why I'm here. I hope you have a chance to either come see me at the booth or make an appointment with me, or both, honestly, or come to my class, or all three. It'd be fantastic. So, is that me? Is that my time, Tammy?
There you go. That's it. But no, I loved that. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you can even see the comments or not, but there were a lot of people that were commenting saying, oh my gosh, I need you. I'm dealing with this right now. I have the same thing, too much stuff, overwhelm, all this kind of thing. And so I just know that even if they can't go to the conference, they can still reach out to you. So all they have to do is click on that link that we provided across the screen and also right into the comments. So it's easy for them just to click right on it. So
awesome.
All right. Love you, my friend. We'll see you next week. Woo woo. She's so awesome. I just love her. Okay, you guys, this is fantastic because now I got on this dude that I only call my brothers. I say very affectionately brother, like just to my brothers. I don't really say that to other people, but I say it to this dude. And I don't know why, just because I feel like he's like my brother. I just love him so much. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. This is Michael Vander Plas. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's so funny. I hear you say that, and uh, we all encounter rough things, and it's been a few rough weeks for me,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and it's just life. It's part of life, and uh, and just hearing you say that puts a smile on my face. So I appreciate that. So
I am so glad. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pop off. I'm going to actually have you introduce yourself because I'd like you to have, if you have a book, if you can please hold it up. Last night, Casey pulled out your book. He was reading it. He's been reading it every night. And he said, there's something cold in my back. What is it? And I pulled off your book. He had accidentally rolled it over.
it's sticking to his back.
Yeah, he's like, I thought it was a tarantula or something. I'm like, a tarantula in our bed? It was so it was actually your book on his back. It was so funny. But anyway, I am so excited. He's loving it. I
Cool.
have loved everything I've read in it so far as well. So I would
Cool.
love to have you talk about that and then about what's going to be happening in your class as well.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So everybody, hello. My name is Michael Vander Plas. I go by Mike a lot too. Just kind of goes back and forth. So I just need to say this though. The reason why she probably likes calling me brother is because I'm kind of a hippie, but I'm one of those unique hippies who bases his life in a lot of science and a lot of clerical study because I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for the past 17 plus years. Some of that has been in psychiatric, but most of it has been in ICUs. I've also been a hospital supervisor for almost 8 years at a hospital here in Utah. I've been a travel nurse throughout the let's say the 2020 to 2022 world experiences, and have seen a lot of interesting things come up with that. Prior to that, I was doing some psych nursing at a psych specific hospital, which gave me the insight for the book that she's talking about. So here's the book. It's Stay Strong by Michael Vander Plas, Overcome Suicidal Thoughts and Get the Life You Want. So I released this about a month and a half ago and became an international bestseller on Amazon with that in 4 different categories and got second place in another category. So I've been doing this. I've been doing some speaking engagements in Spanish. I have a 3-week tour planned for Brazil in July, all based on some of this material that's in my book and some of the material that I'll be displaying to you guys at the St. George conference. And if you can't be there physically, please get on the virtual. It'll be good. But anyways, some of the concepts of this book, some of the stuff that I go over. First, let's just go over the super quick reason of why. It seems blatantly obvious for me and probably blatantly obvious for a lot of you of why this would be an important subject to talk about. However, I like to clarify a little bit. The first chapter of the book I call Houston, We've Got a Problem. And we talk about some of this problem. One of the things that's interesting is in the years 2018 and 2019, the Center for Disease Control actually stated that the life expectancy of people in the United States, instead of getting longer, actually for the first time ever in those first 2 years, got shorter. Now, this is 2018, 2019, so it's not that other stuff. But what we're talking about here is they said that it was primarily due to 2 big reasons. One is the massive increase of heroin overdoses, of which I've seen a lot of working in the ICUs and ERs and stuff like that. And then second, due to the increased number of suicides, suicides being completed, people actually dying. Now, an interesting thing about this is when I worked in the psychiatric hospital prior to getting into the travel nursing, just because I felt this need to kind of be there to support new nurses with all my ICU experience and knowledge. But when I was in the psychiatric hospital, I started getting a lot of patients coming in, like a higher number of patients. And they had me mostly working on the adolescent floor. Now, working on this adolescent floor, I started talking to these different youth. I sometimes call them students, sometimes call them patients, sometimes call them kids. So all those terms will be utilized here a little bit. So I'd get these kids coming in, and with each one of them, there is this form that we'd have to go over with each person who has suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, and it's utilized throughout the United States through all hospitals. And it's called the CSSRS, the Columbia Suicide Severity Rating Scale. I think that's kind of a little bit redundant. Severity rating scale are all different ways of measurement, but somebody probably needed more letters just to make it sound more official. And that's my point of view of it. And on this thing, it started asking a whole bunch of different questions. It started asking them, how long have you had these thoughts? What would help you to not have these thoughts? How quickly, how easy would it be for you to not have these thoughts? How frequent do you have these thoughts? So some really good questions. But I'm also an international master trainer of neurolinguistic programming, meaning that I certify people in NLP. I certify people in neurolinguistic programming. I certify people in hypnosis, and I certify people in quantum timeline therapy, which is an advanced NLP technique. And a lot of people will ask me sometimes, what is NLP? Well, NLP, one of the things is it's understanding the context of what somebody is saying and not just the content. So it's kind of like a jar of water. It's kind of like the jar of water are the words. That's the content. But the context is the cup, the bottle. And so it's the way that shapes the words that are being sounded. And so knowing that, I realized that some of these wordings, some of the wordings that I was finding on the CSSRS didn't really get the kind of answers out of these patients, these kids that I wanted. And so I started thinking about it, and it came pretty easily to me since I have all this experience with NLP for all these years. I started thinking these questions are asked in a way that it can give excuses instead of insight and understanding. Now, one of the interesting things that Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, clinical psychologist, professor of psychology at Harvard for 7 years, professor of psychology at University of Toronto for 20 plus years, stated was that whenever we have a problem, until we understand it through writing it out, through examining it, that will stay a problem. And so I didn't want to just ask these questions the way the CSSRS said it. I wanted to change a few detailed words. And I get into that explanation a lot more in the class. So I hope you guys attend. And also I get into it extremely deeper in any of the trainings that I do, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But I started changing some of those words around and asking the kids, what was the reason that they committed suicide? And changing the words in a way to where instead of them just giving an excuse, it turned on their minds to where they could think, and they could start to think about what was the true reason for it, which is interesting because a lot of times we're on this base level. I like to do this. Let's show this. So a lot of times I'm going to do it kind of wide. So yeah. So a lot of times we ask questions, and we have this base question here. The goal is for us to actually go deeper. And if you have coaching clients, I changed the words patients and clients up since I see so many patients. This is a good idea. Always go deeper. So the person's talking here, ask a question that will make it go deeper. Let them talk a little bit, and then go deeper still. Then let them talk a little bit, then ask a question that goes deeper. And a lot of the times, the CSSRS would get to here or maybe here. But what we usually want to try and do is go deeper into an understanding of what is truly in their unconscious mind driving this. Our unconscious mind takes care of over 95% of the actions that we do daily as a habitual form. Dr. Bruce Lipton, the author of The Biology of Belief, states this. So this is a really cool idea. And so I would ask these kids these questions, and through that, I would always get something along the same answers. But one thing that was interesting about finding these answers from these youth and through some of the adult patients, because they sometimes put me on the adult sector as well, is, and with the adults, it was a lot easier to talk to than the youth. The youth can be more obstinate when they want to be, just saying. But they were also more amazed when we would get to an understanding that what was going on was not just deeply rooted in their error, in their mistake, in their not being perfect, their perfection, lack of perfection there is, and that creating some errors and stuff in them. What we found is that there were some very key factors that tied together that came to the point of understanding what their specific meaning was. And when we found what each one of their specific meaning was, and an understanding that that is driven biologically by the way that our brain is composed in order for survival, actually, then it seemed like the problem for some of them just dissipated. Not for all of them, but for a good majority of these youth that I would talk to at the intake, within the first half hour and a half that they were in that facility, they had a roadmap of understanding themselves, understanding what the cause was, and then understanding a way to turn that around 100% from taking something like this at face value and completely turning it around and having not the problem of why did they want to commit suicide, but what was the purpose of their life? What was the thing that would give them joy? And when I say joy, I mean not happiness. There's a huge difference in that. But what would give them joy? What would give them meaning? What would give them guidance in their life? Now, this is a cool thing because there's a man who wrote a book in 1947 named Viktor Frankl. And if you know this book, you already love it. If you don't know this book, please write it down. Get your pen out, get your paper out, get your cell phone out, get ready to write this down if you don't know this book yet, because it's seriously on my top 10 list. And it is called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And when he wrote this book in 1947, the interesting thing is he didn't even want his name on it, because he wanted it just to be out there to the world because he thought it was so important. Now, Viktor Frankl, he was a physician and a psychologist, but also he was a survivor of being in concentration camps for 3 years. 3 years. The average person who survived in a concentration camp survived for 8 months. He survived for 3 years. And through that time, he realized that people who had a meaning in life, people who found the deep root, true understanding of their meaning in life, had a desire to live. So, through the trainings that I do, through the book that I wrote, I help people to understand what is their meaning in life. The link is there below, staystrongbook.com. Just go on there, purchase it. If you purchase it through this link, it'll come directly to me instead of through Amazon. If you want to purchase on Amazon, that's fine as well. But if you purchase this book through the link that's listed up there, I'll personally write a little note, sign and date it, and send it out to you. So, and it's interesting, some of the things that have come to me when I've sent some of these books out to some of the people. So with this, Viktor Frankl, getting back to Viktor Frankl, he devised a form of psychology called logos therapy. Logos is the Greek word for meaning. So he said meaning therapy. It wasn't a therapy where he would talk about the person's problem over and over and over and over. He'd talk about the person's problem, much like I was doing with these students, with these patients, these youth primarily, and finding what is the meaning in life for them. And then turning that around to have the life that you truly want. Now, another thing that I want to share with you on this is I'd love to just give a little bit of information right now in how to help somebody or how to help yourself. If you are in the darkest point of your life, first, I want to say I'm truly sorry. Second, I want to say I understand. Now, I say those words, I understand, very, very cautiously. I like to say I understand only if I understand, not if I think I get what you're saying and I haven't been through it. Because that to me is somewhat an insult. So when I say I understand, I understand. So I've been through dark times myself. I've been through some rough moments. And I'd like to just share two simple tasks. In the book, I explain more on this. Sometimes during the training, it gears towards what we would go over in the energy healing conference, because it's just an hour presentation. I go over this. I do go over it in my Stay Strong suicide prevention training, and I do go over it in my NLP practitioner training as well. But one of the interesting things is that we have to realize that there's 3 different stages of life. There is when there's somebody who's battling with depression and suicidal thoughts. One is the I am enough stage, where the main goal is to simply get to the concept of I am enough. And that's a great stage. But then eventually we want to get to the abundance stage, where we're having abundance in our lives, where we're getting some of the things we want. We're getting some of the love we want. We're getting some of the financial things that we want. We're achieving certain goals with health, with personal development, maybe in our career, maybe with our education. Maybe we're increasing our level of knowledge to the level that we want to. And then the third part is prosperity. And prosperity is where you don't only have that abundance, but you learn a way to start divulging this to other people. And that's some of the purpose of why I'm giving this information. But I want to start right here, because if this is the only interaction that I have with somebody, if the person's not able to come to the conference, if they're not able to spend, the $20 for the book, if they're not able to come to go on to one of my online trainings or attend one of my live trainings, I want to share 2 little bits of information to get you strong onto this idea of I am enough, from where you might be just on that verge. And the first one is breathing. Now, years ago, and I'll make this quick, years ago, back when I was about 23, I was in a dark place. I had a lot of kind of PTSD and trauma from stuff that had happened not only in my early life, but also when I was doing community service in northeastern Brazil. During those 2 years, I lived in 4 of the top 17 most dangerous cities of the world. And with that, I lived in the most dangerous areas. And so I saw some things that were quite disturbing for me. And about a year or 2 after that, I was seeing a psychologist. And the first time I went to see the psychologist, we were talking, and he asked me, he said, can I get a guarantee that you'll be safe, that you won't harm yourself till next week? And I actually said to him, no, I can't promise that. And so then Austin, the psychologist, he said, well, can you promise me that you'll get through a day? And I was like, I can't. Well, then he asked me, well, how about an hour? And this is where I started getting shaky, like literally shaky. And I started getting sad, depressed, and worried. And I was like, I can't promise that I'll be here an hour from now. And then he said, how about a minute? And that's where I started crying, because I couldn't promise that I would be there for another minute. He said, well, can you take a breath? And that's where the road to I Am Enough started. I said, yes, I can take that other breath. I can get that other breath out. I can take it in and get it out. I can focus on that. And so he said, survive on the next breath for the next week. And I did. And for 2 weeks straight, somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks, I focused on every single breath I took. So the first little technique I want to throw out to you, the idea is that if it's too rough for you to get through the next day, the next hour, the next minute, breathe. Doesn't need to be some great Wim Hof breathing technique. Doesn't need to be some meditation mantra. Just a deep breath in, a deep breath out. So there's breathing techniques that the Navy SEALs and other special forces utilize. I've had students of some of my classes who have been special forces members, who are currently special forces, and they utilize breathing techniques. The second quick technique I want to give you is this. The second quick technique is simply listen to comedy. Watch some comedy, something that makes you laugh. By laughing, we release these endorphins, we release serotonin, we release dopamine to the frontal lobes of the neocortex, to the prefrontal lobes. And that helps to pull us out of it. I remember with myself, I would listen to 5 minutes of comedy, and the other 23 hours when I was awake, but 23 hours and 55 minutes of the day would be full of depression. But at least those 5 minutes, I was good, until it started expanding beyond the time that I was just listening. So those are 2 techniques. With that said, there's a lot more information that I have to give to you guys. And I wish that I had more time to give this to you, but that would take hours, days, maybe even months and years. I don't know, but long conversations. And so with that, I just want to offer you guys the opportunity to, if you want to pick up a copy of the book, please pick up a copy of the book. If it's not for you, maybe it's for a loved one. Maybe it's for you that you may have had somebody who sadly went on. Maybe it's somebody that you're concerned about and you need some instructions on how to communicate with them. If you're beyond that point and you're to the abundance stage of your life, well, then what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you guys to attend one of my online trainings. And you can get hold of me through the staystrongbook.com website. Also, you can find me on Facebook and send me a message there, or get on my mailing list as well. And with that, I have a class that I've seen classes similar to this, but not regarding suicide prevention. I've looked and searched, and from what I find, this is the only online training that I've seen regarding suicide prevention that's for the layman. When I say layman, the non-medical professional. But classes that are similar to this in other techniques and skills, I've seen them sell for $899. I usually charge $497, but for the Energy Healing Conference community, which I love and which is special to me, I charge $199, and it's a great thing. If you are not able to do either of those things, I ask for you to please attend the Energy Healing Conference. Come to my class, watch it. If I'm on one of the virtual sites, I can't remember if I'm on the virtual this time or not, but get in contact so that you can get some more information. Your life, your loved one's life, they're all vitally important. The worth of one soul is great, and the worth of so many more is even greater. If you can help save a life one day, Let me tell you, being a guy who has worked years and years in the healthcare setting, who's had to face tough times and actually being hands-on saving someone's life, years later, when you see that person, the reward is so much more. And so I ask that you guys do this, that some of you guys search a little bit more, not just to help yourselves, but also to help others. And with that, we're back to Tammy.
With that, that was spot on. And honestly, I've had some friends that have reached out to me and have said to me, where do I go when this is going on? And I'm like, have you heard of my buddy Michael? So I have a place to send some people now, because, the thing is, there's a lot of people who have really great information, but the fact that you are an expert in this field and you've traveled internationally and now you've got your book and you really are hyper focused in on that. Like, I'm just really thankful, because I also have been somebody who's dealt with these kind of, I don't even want to call it temptations, these kind of racing thoughts before.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for you.
Back at you, sister.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'll see you next weekend at the conference.
We're going to see you next weekend.
Yeah. And he was making the comment. He said, I don't know if I'm on the virtual. There is no virtual for St. George. So there you go. It is only a live event. We just felt like it was really important to make this one be very intimate for the live experience only. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next speaker, the amazing Shar. And I do actually want to read her bio for you as well. I feel like what she does kind of goes hand in hand with what Michael does. Michael was really more talking about how he'd had experiences with adolescents who had been going through this kind of thing and how it helped them to find their purpose. Shar is also doing that, but she does it in a little bit different way. I want to actually read her bio here for you. It says, Shar, and I don't know if it's Gigi or Gigi, so you're going to have to correct me on that one. She's a single mama of 4 beautiful children, graduated from the University of Utah in 2000 with a BFA in graphic design, and was in the corporate marketing community for just under 2 decades. After raising her children, she discovered new talents that could bless other lives, and she became a certified life coach. And she also certified in EFT and emotion code as well. Coaching health and body since 2016. She decided to expand her business on a larger scale to include online classes and speaking events to help them reach their full potential. And I am going to put her contact information here for you as well. But please welcome with me, Shar. How do you say your last name? Oh, you're muted. Let's get you unmuted really fast. Do you know how to unmute yourself?
There we go.
There we go. How are you,
and make sure I'm in the camera.
Oh, yeah. You're good. So how do you say your last name?
Gigi.
I'm like, I don't want to call it Gigi if it's Gigi. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, well, I am going to turn the time over to you. I'm going to put your contact information up. And if you need anything, I'm right here.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Tammy. I appreciate being on this live. She said a little bit of my background, and which speaks to my class, Don't Procrastinate Your Purpose Anymore, which I'm so excited to share with you guys. So a little bit about my background. I did start with marketing, right? That was my purpose at that time. And I did amazing work. I was able to work with magazines. I was able to work with advertising agencies and actually build a significant name for myself in the world of marketing, right? I've taken big businesses and helped them duplicate. I've taken small businesses and helping them duplicate and increase their own business, right? So then you come to a place where she talked about in my bio where you have, like, you've had your kids. This could speak for women and for men, both, depending on what you guys choose for your family. And I just wanted to read a quote. We esteem lightly for those things we don't pay a price for. This is from a great mentor that I know. His name is Trevor Baker. And just speaking to paying a price for, what's that price that we are willing to pay? So what's really great about being able to give you a little snippet of what this class is, I'm just so excited to bring it for you. I've also have my Instagram viewers live also with me today, just to kind of get a taste of how this can really impact you. And it really does, I feel, just like Tammy said, hand in glove with what Michael was talking about, because the questions to ask oneself to prepare. This is a great opportunity. If you're looking at this class and you're thinking this would really add value to where I'm at, to make the most out of the class, these are some questions that I really invite you to consider during this week. So when I meet with individual sessions for my clients, we kind of take a snippet of like an introduction, right? How she introduced me. That's where I've come from. That's been my experience, right? We look at the past from experience and then the future for that inspiration, that purpose, right? Am I living my purpose, right? What does purpose mean? That's the first thing I've heard of. Why are people so worried about that? I've received a lot of questions with my clients, and I wanted to put a class together that can just start chipping away and unpacking the possibilities for you. And if you're thinking this is good for somebody else as well, to share this information and to be able to extend invitation, make it a girls' weekend, make it a guys' weekend, come out and golf the day before and then come to the event. It's really so much fun to be able to create those bonds with like-minded individuals to help you along your journey. So like I was talking to you about the questions, the first one, if you want to write these down, that would be great. What are you willing to do, right? What are you willing to do? Just as an example, that's super simple. So when I chose to go to college, right? What was I willing to do? I was willing to pay the tuition. I was willing to set aside time to go to college. I was willing to commit to the classes, and I was willing to learn. So there are a lot of root characteristics and values that are intrinsic to myself. So those are some things we're going to talk about in the class and do a session, meaning, sorry about that, you guys. We're going to be doing a session where we talk about what does that look, what values do you hold? A lot of people talk about that being your true north. What are the values that you hold? How badly do you want that goal? Usually with my clients, I do a measuring. So if you haven't ever done that before, you can say heavy, light, or just neutral, right? Because some people are still learning to learn that intuition within yourself and to trust your gut. A lot of folks have heard that, right? So how badly do you want that goal? And this can be for anywhere you are at. If you want to double your business, you can take a business of 20 years and you've been there and you feel it needs to add more value on a different and larger scale. Like for myself, I have been with individuals since 2016, and now I feel the urge to come out to speak and to break through what that could look like for myself and to add value to you guys listening. What am I willing to give up to get that in my life? So anytime you add something to your plate, right, something could potentially fall off. I always call this the Thanksgiving plate on the appetizer. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. The Thanksgiving dinner on an appetizer plate, right? So for me, I am very aware I love to go big or go home. And we do have our emotional bandwidth, our physical bandwidth, and what does that look like? So we're going to also address what that looks like in the class for you. How hard am I willing to work? Is there a price that is too high for you? So if you have family, if you have little ones, really and that's a little bit of boundary work, right? Those are healthy for individuals. This is where you're at right now. And how hard are you willing to work within your capacity? That's what it talks about. It's not going into a shame where you're not working hard enough, if that makes sense. It's more of just really honestly taking an inventory of where you're at, honoring where you're at. And if you're setting that goal further, you can still write that down and then pedal back and see what you can do that day. The next question, what are you going to do today to move yourself forward? So that just led from the big question, what are you willing to do? And then taking that inventory within yourself of what can I do today? So you guys are doing great. You're on this Facebook Live event, which is so fabulous. I'm so grateful to be here. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the purpose as well. You can live your purpose without feeling like it's grandiose. You can make an impact. And you've heard it said time and time again of what that could look like giving a smile or showing up for a class or speaking at an event to impact lives, right? And in that class, I am going to talk about intrinsically motivating yourself and knowing that for you, right? Because hearing and doing are for sure two things, right? Life without purpose is like a body without soul. And I think Michael kind of touched on that, where, I have had clients where they're in a position where they're not even able to find that joy, right? And where you're able to sit down and reevaluate where you're at in a class setting with like-minded people and connecting and realizing you're not the only one. It's so great to have community and connection in growing what you find valuable in your life. So in this class, we're going to talk about the number one reason holding you back that could potentially be your reason. Come and experience one processing tool I'm going to do specific for that class. And I'm going to do a processing tool a little bit later as I chat a little bit to add value to you guys. So the question I ask myself daily and throughout the day, this is an amazing question if you haven't already heard this one. Does this support the life I'm trying to create? So I'll just repeat that again. Does this support the life I'm trying to create? Okay. So the formula for purpose is change plus awareness is your purpose. And how do you get that formula together? We're going to really talk about how to get that formula to work for you. So the change plus awareness is the purpose, right? Something needs to change, right? There's a habit, there's a mindset. It could be what you're putting in your body. If you want to have your purpose to be a fitness instructor, you may want to reevaluate what goes into your body because that could potentially impact your purpose and being at your highest potential. These are just some general analogies to help warm up your brain, right? To get thinking this week as you're preparing and going to come for these classes next Saturday. So the first one, awareness, I want to just do a little bit on that. I'm going to talk about choice points. That's the awareness tool. So this choice point, the basis is the impulse versus action, right? An impulse versus an action. So choice points are precious moments where we get to identify the actions which will become our legacy. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a physical action. This can be in something as simple as how we talk to ourselves, right? In the morning, in the moment. How do we talk to ourselves in the overwhelm? Say you have an amazing business and you have a team of people and somebody dropped the ball. You were supposed to go live at a certain time. The link didn't work. Technology's not working. What do? How do you handle that as a leader in your purpose? And that is why I invite beginners and advanced students and intermediate and all in between, because these basic principles can be applied and set forth into where you're at along your life. When we consider that moment between an impulse and an action, we then have that true choice, right? That awareness of a choice. We can act in accordance to our deepest values, because we're going to talk about those intrinsic values I touched on a little bit earlier. We can act in congruence with our deepest truth, right? Have you ever had somebody ask you how your day is and you're like, I'm fine? Is that really your deepest truth? And there's boundaries around that, right? Can go into a whole class on just that one reaction alone, right? Let me discuss the choice points, because I have put purpose into 3 categories just for the sake of organizing and for context. it really helps to understand when we organize information and do step-by-step processes. It really helps us to go along and to digest that information in little bits. This is what I have found with my clients and for myself. So this is what I am doing as suggestion. So choice points are for you and how that contributes to either it's going to be a hindrance or it's going to help support you. And some folks are going to be discovering their purpose, right? You just heard that and you're like, oh, maybe I should start thinking about my purpose. I heard that, 2016, 2015. I'm like, oh, wow, I had a whole purpose and whole mindset of where my life was going in the marketing community. I knew where I was headed and a huge shift for me happened. And I'm like, wow. I didn't realize how that could be so pivotal of a moment for me. And a pivotal of a moment could be a set stage of time, like a year or two, just so folks can have a little bit of context with that. So discover your purpose, maximize your purpose, or shifting your purpose. So discovering your purpose is for beginners. Maximize your purpose is where you know where you want to go. And there's some things that are quite not worked out and how to go through that and help put you on a good trajectory for that. And then shifting your purpose. So I went from full-time marketing career, thought I was going to do that the rest of my life, to me an at-home mom, and then going back into the workforce, and then now being blessed with this opportunity to actually speak with you. So we're going to talk about what are those 3 sections that help to define where we are at, or how do we even discover the underlying to-do. Folks really relate on the to-do. So with that, just leads me to the next part, change. Failure is not final if you have the faith to finish. If you have that desire, that intrinsic knowing, people call it your conscious, like the little cricket. A lot of people can relate to seeing that vision. And then there's just that gap, right? There's that gap of how do I get to that purpose? This is where I want to go. And so there's this stretch point from A, where you're at now, to B. And that's just that tension, that pull, that faith. And we'll touch on how the false belief of a defined failure can influence and hinder the progress we think we're making. So actually, to bring some questions to be able to question, was that a failure? Was that a learned experience? What does that look like for me? And how can I add? Oh, okay, perfect. So with this, okay, they're just letting me know I have about a minute to wrap things up. I wanted to leave you with a tool, you guys, and I wanted to let you know really quick too. Thank you, Tammy. Just mentioned Facebook Live 2022 and get 50% off any of my classes and coaching and individual sessions. Okay, you guys, it'll be great. And then I have a T technique to help bridge the gap. So you just draw a T on your paper. I'm really sorry, Tammy. I'm trying to add this value to you guys. And then on one side, you're going to put all the negative emotions. And then on the other side, you're going to put the positive emotions. And then you're going to tap down the meridian just right here. And it helps with your neurology just to bring down the volume of the emotions you're experiencing. So you on one side, the negative, the other side, the positive, and validate both sides. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel confident. And that's the T technique. And we'll go deeper into that. Okay. All right, you guys, making mistakes is better than faking perfection. So I'm going to see you soon next week.
You are awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that was very helpful and very good. And I agree 100% that everything, the purpose behind what you're doing to help people find their purpose is just spot on. So thank you so much.
You.
And would you mind maybe sharing your Instagram with us really quick, since you said you were on Instagram as well?
Oh yeah. Nominator, MOM. Okay, I know there is a story. My son, when he was 10, wanted to play video games with me. And so instead of Terminator, I did Mominator.
That's so cute.
And it just stuck. So,
Stuck.
yeah, Mominator, Mominader.
Oh, okay.
And it's private. So you guys just reach out to say, hey, I heard you on Tammy. And then I know that you're a real person. There's just so much phishing and scams and everything.
Yeah.
I had to turn it private because it was crazy. So thank you.
Yeah, you're totally good. All right, we'll see you next weekend. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thanks.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut her off there. Darn it. Sorry, Char. Sounds like somebody's here too. My dog's going nuts. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our next speaker, who is a dear friend of mine, Joy Beck. How you doing, girl?
Good. How are you?
We match. We're both wearing hot pink. I'm going to jump off and let you take over.
All right. So I'm in my car and I don't have my glasses on because I can't see my phone without my glasses on my face, or either way. So my name is Joy Beck, and I just have a hot second before I go back to teaching, which is what I do every day that ends in Y during the week. And I am lucky enough to be one of Tammy's speakers at our conference, and at the St. George conference, I'm only going to speak. I'm only speaking once on joyful options in life. And so I wanted to just tell you just a teeny bit about myself. I'm a mama of 4 kiddos. I have 2 boys that are adults and married, and I have 2 great little grandsons, and I have 2 girls that are 18 and 14, and they've survived, right? And I've survived. And so that was my why as to getting into energy work, was because of them. I wanted to be able to help. I knew that I could. It didn't seem super out there for me. And so I started learning different modalities that worked for me. In my class, I'll share the stuff that works for me, and then we'll get ideas from others. My class is super interactive. That's just kind of how I roll. But I do like to share things that work, and there's lots of things out there, and so you have to kind of find what fits for you, and what fits for you might be different than me, and that's okay. It's all good. It's whatever works for you and works for your little families. So I have 2 things that I sent them the links. Hopefully this works. So at the conferences, my offering at the conferences is mini foot zones and body code sessions for $20. 20 minutes for $40. So it's just a mini one. But those are the ones that I offer at the conferences. And I also offer a chance to win a free body code session. And I'm going to pick 5 friends that will be able to have a chance to do that. You don't have to be to the conference. You can just I'll just muscle test, and I choose who wins. And then you'll get I'll reach out to you, and we'll line up a time for a body code session, which is Dr. Bradley Nelson's healing modality. And what's going to be fun is he's going to be there at the conference in St. George, and he is amazing. And he's in the morning and I'm in the afternoon, and that's fantastic. And one of my favorite modalities is the emotion code and body code, which I learned because of his niece and the connection I made with her, and then have had my life and many others benefited because of his system. So I am offering, there should be a link that hopefully will get put in that to enter to a chance to win a free body code session. And the other class that I've taught the last 2 conferences, and I'm not teaching it this next one, is a parenting class. It's joyful parenting tips, I believe is what it's called. I can't remember. But the basis of that is not that I'm a perfect mama. I promise you, I'm not. You could ask my kiddos. But between raising kiddos from 14 to 28, and then I am a teacher, and this is my 27th year teaching, and I figured it out, ballparking it. I have taught almost 1,500 kiddos in my years. I did 14 years of kinder, so double sessions kind of really helped with that. But so I've seen a lot of kiddos. I've seen a lot of parenting styles. I've seen lots that work. I've seen lots that not so much don't work. And in my parenting class, the reason I'm talking to you about this is that I also have shared a link for a scholarship for the parenting class. The parenting course is a 4-week course. It's in the evenings. On Thursdays, it will start. I wrote notes so that I wouldn't forget. It will start May 12th and then go till June 2nd. And it's at 7 o'clock. It's going to be recorded. So if by chance you can't make it, then signing up, it's just $25 for the class for 4 classes. So it's pretty cool. And my focus is on love and logic, the parenting styles for love and logic, as well as the 5 love languages. And both of those are things that I use so often and have used for so long that I don't think I don't even know that I'm using them. My kids will call me out on it sometimes. But if you've not checked those out before, check them out. The Love and Logic is a great program, and they've morphed it into like for teaching as well. So that's how I roll in my classes as well. And then the 5 love languages, being able to understand how you communicate with others and so that your communication is understood and clear and receptive both ways is a big deal, especially these days. So those are the 2 offerings that I have. And in my class that I'll teach in St. George, what I love to do is I love to talk to you about all the things that maybe you've tried. Maybe it's some grounding techniques. I'm sitting in my car and it's raining, so outside I'm not going to walk on the grass right now. But when it's dry, one of the things I like to do, if at all possible, at least one time a day, is to walk barefooted on the grass, because it just helps center and ground and calm you down. And so we'll share different ideas that help with that. I'll share different ideas that help with kind of bringing you back to neutral on that, whether it's oils that you can use, whether it's some techniques, and I teach some techniques in my class of how if someone's spun up or if someone's spiraling down, to be able to get back to that level neutral state, which is where we'd like to live, and not so much in the highs and not so much in the lows, but to be able to get to those states. So I'll share some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. And I love to ask the crowd what they know, because we probably almost all of us, I would imagine, are lifelong learners, or else you wouldn't be listening to something on a Friday almost noontime, right? And so we share ideas, and then I will share more about the body code system and the emotion code system, which is Dr. Bradley Nilsson's modality for healing, and go into how that works. Also, to go ahead, this is my favorite because I'm almost out of time. It's almost time to go get my kiddos from recess. Is I am offering a Mama's Day special. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, not everyone is like, I want to say for reals, but yeah, no. Not everyone has had the chance to have kiddos. However, sorry, dudes, it's just how it's going to work. Where Mama's Day is coming up, and I say lots of odd things. If you are a female, you have had some kind of positive influence on others, hopefully on kiddos, but on others. And as females, sometimes we take on a whole lot of stuff that isn't ours. So my special that I'm going to offer, and you're going to get a chance to win it by going to my Facebook page, which is Joyful Options for Life. And it's going across the little screen right now. And in there, you're going to write Mama, because that's what I like to say. And then I want you to nominate someone who you think would benefit from a body code session. I am going to pick 8 friends that would like a body code session. And the fun part about it is, if you say your name is Sally and you nominate Jen for your, as because she's your girlfriend, and she needs some help and she's open to it, then if she gets chosen, I'm going to choose Jen, but then I'm also going to reach out to Sally, and you're both going to get a body code session for free for Mama's Day. So I'm opening that up. I'm going to choose before Mother's Day, and I'll post it. And then I'll give time frames because that'll end up being 16 peeps, right? We'll go till like the end of May. So I'll just sprinkle that goodness throughout the month of May to get those sessions in. But that was my fun this morning as I'm getting ready. I'm like, we need to do a Mama's Day special. And then I thought, it needs to make sure that I don't hurt anyone's feelers and know that if you're a female, you've probably had some kind of influence, hopefully for the good, right? But you've had influence on others. And sometimes we get drained. So that's going to help. So that's my special that I'm offering up. And I hope to see you down in St. George. I'm taking my family. We're doing a kind of a family retreat in the process of that as well. So that's all I have, Miss Tammy. It's almost time for me to roll.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Okay. So I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
My brain went somewhere else for a half a second and I didn't quite get the Mother's Day thing. Can you just recap on that one more time?
Yes, because sometimes I talk fast and it makes sense in my head and it doesn't make sense to others. So I am choosing 8 peeps for a free body code session.
What? Are you serious?
Yes. And you get it by nominating someone. So if you nominated, say, Jen, you nominate someone, I'm out of the peeps that are nominated, I'm going to choose 8. If your friend, then they get the body code session and you get a body code session.
Well, I chose the wrong ticker here. It could be nominate your friend.
There you go. Yes. So you're going to nominate your friend. And then whoever I choose, whoever they nominated, kind of like what you do. I took it off of what the model you do. Whoever nominates them, I'm going to give that to them as well. I'm a firm believer that females take on far more than we should, and that body code can really help clear and allow people to move forward. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. Wow. That is really cool. Well, I'm super excited. I literally am going to change this little ticker here. There we go. Oh, I deleted the wrong one. Okay, never mind.
But they go onto my Facebook to be able to do it. And I'm going to choose 8. Okay. And then whoever I muscle test and choose, it's going to be the person that's nominated and the nominator.
Okay, so let's say I want to nominate a friend. How do I do it?
So you go on to Joyful Options for Life, my Facebook page.
Okay.
And write Mama, because that's going to tell me Mama, and then say your friend's name. Type your friend's name.
Mama, and then their name.
And then I'm going to know it's from you.
Okay.
And then I'll pick, and then I'll have their name, and then I'll have your name, and then I'll reach out to you.
And dog moms count, plant moms count.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to have birthed someone to have motherly influence. That's for darn. And so, as I said, sorry, dudes, it's going to be mamas. So that's the way it's going to work.
You'll probably do one for Father's Day or something.
Probably. They need it.
All right. Well, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
She's so much fun, isn't she? She's such a blast. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to go to her classes or see her speak before, but she's just so much fun. And I love her whole idea of tuck and roll. I've had to use that so many times. I'm like, okay, what would Joy do? Tuck and roll, tuck and roll. I can do this. It's awesome. So our next speaker up, I'm super excited to have him on as well. And this is Todd Bailey, and I just found out he lives in Boise. He was just commenting at the beginning of our thing today. I was like, I did not know that. So just went to Boise for a concert like a month ago or something, and it was fabulous. I loved the area. He is the owner of Herbal Manna. And let me go ahead and just tell you a little bit about his particular, where he came from and his background. Todd suffered from a variety of injuries and 20 orthopedic surgeries. Holy crap, dude. Chronic pain robbed him of the activities that he loved. Prescriptions and over-the-counter medications helped, but then nasty side effects would pop up. Has anybody else ever had a situation like this? You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but yes. Eventually, pills provided no relief. Todd stopped doing many of the things that he loved, and life and energy were just leached away. He had to find a better way to manage the pain first. Well, first, he identified what nature offered for managing pain and inflammation. Second, he found a way to increase absorption of those natural substances. The combination is unique and effective. Todd is back to doing what he loves. He hurts less and lives more. He is now the CEO of a company that provides natural relief from chronic pain. And I just have to say, I would like to applaud him because that's huge. My grandmother was a nurse for 40 years and she had chronic sciatic pain. And that's one of the things that really took her over to the natural side of things. That sounds so funny, the natural side. And so I can really resonate with his story here. If this is of interest to you, would you guys go ahead and drop him one of your favorite emojis, or say yay Todd, or welcome, or give him a little applause symbol? I just think that's so huge. And also, like, he could be going on and doing something else, but it's kind of like that whole meme that says, you know, when you come out of the flames, you go back with buckets of water to help other people in the flames, right? So this is so huge. I'm so excited to have him on right now. He's a first-time speaker with our conference. Please welcome to our virtual stage today, Todd Bailey. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for that introduction. That was awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you, give you more time to talk today.
All right. Sounds good. Like Tammy said, I'm a veteran of a few surgeries. Started all the way back in high school. Football. I wish I had a heroic story for the first injury, but I simply went out for a pass, planted my foot, turned, and my kneecap went off the side of my leg and stuck. If I had known what the future held, I would have stopped. I would have joined drama club or golf club or something like that, but I kept after it. And I accumulated quite a series of injuries, and some of it was just bad genetics. A lot of it was just bad judgment. And overall, it eventually caught up to me. So that by the time I was 35 or so, if I just mowed the lawn, but not mowed the lawn for half an hour, my knees would be so hamburgered that I was done for a week of recovering, just because of the pain and everything getting kind of ground up. I tried all sorts of things. Initially, whenever I could get a hold of a doctor, I had doctor clients, and I also had doctors for whom I was a patient, and I would use, well, whatever pills I could get a hold of, Celebrex or whatever, and I would get some relief, but it would always have a bad ending. All of those prescriptions that I would take would eventually tear up my GI tract until I would finally just pass blood. If I couldn't get a hold of prescriptions, I would do it with over-the-counter drugs. I would use ibuprofen until I had a bad side effect. Then I would switch to naproxen sodium until I had a bad side effect. And I thought I was kind of hiding everything until my wife finally cornered me and said, things have got to change. She was the first to start pushing me towards something more natural that would actually treat the underlying cause and not just keep masking the symptoms. And that's the problem with so much of what we get from our MD buddies. Now, I've got a lot of buddies that are MDs. I love what they do. I love the way they can do an intervention for me and put a bone back where it belongs, for instance. But as far as long-term management of pain, they've got a really limited number of options. We've got to do something besides just manage the pain. We've got to manage the underlying condition so our body can actually heal. That was the genesis of Herbal Mana. Now, Herbal Mana took another bit of an intervention. My son, Michael, was the one to first start pushing some of the ideas that would become our products. He saw the problems that I had. He saw how it limited what I could do as a father. And credit to Michael, he spent a lot of science time looking for better answers than what could be found through just over-the-counter kinds of things, or even some awesome things like essential oils that could be even more awesome. And over time, we developed some really amazing products. The key here is what the products will let us do, not just that they work. In the chronic pain area, if you're a sufferer of chronic pain, your world starts to get a little bit small. You start losing some of the activities that you enjoy. You can't go on some of the outings with your family and friends to do things they enjoyed or things that you used to enjoy. And your world starts to shrink, and it can leave you feeling isolated, and it takes a real emotional toll. Not just the pain itself is exhausting, but the emotional toll, I think, is going to create even more wreckage. At least it did for me. And it led to all kinds of issues, mood issues, and it was rough, really rough, until I could get moving again. The problem is getting moving hurt. I know there's a lot of benefit. We all know there's benefit from moving, getting up and going. In fact, I read an article just this morning, national news. If you walk, especially if you walk at a good pace, you extend your life expectancy. That came out of a really big, awesome study. Well, I was to the point that walking was problematic. By the time we started developing some of our products, I had already had the 20 surgeries. That's 3 ankle and foot, I think 13 knee, a back, a couple of broken vertebrae, 3 shoulders. Just walking a great distance became difficult. So we started looking and came up with some really good things. The key here for us was finding a way to get the good things into the body so they could work their magic. My wife is a real advocate of essential oils, and I love essential oils. The benefit of essential oils is indisputable. The key for essential oils, at least for those chronic pain folks, is getting absorption. We've got to find a way to increase absorption of the essential oil into the affected body part. So if I have bad knees and I want to get frankincense, for instance, which is an awesome oil in all of its varieties, I can rub it on. I can maybe top it off with a little bit of peppermint. That'll help. But I want something to go even further. I want something that will increase cell wall permeability so that all of that goodness, all of those terpenes that work the magic of the essential oil can go into the cells. Absorption for frankincense is okay. With peppermint, a little better. And then if we layer on something that increases that permeability, better yet. That something became the base for all of our products, for all of the creams. We use something that's a wood extract. It comes from the wood pulping process, natural extract. And it's awesome because by itself, it reduces inflammation. By itself, it scavenges free radicals. Free radicals in our system cause a lot of oxidative stress in the generation of our connective tissues, which leads to inflammation and pain and the cycle that we want to get out of. This something is dimethyl sulfoxide. You might not have heard of it. It goes by the acronym DMSO. DMSO itself is awesome. You can get a pharmaceutical grade. It's pure enough that the FDA approves it for some internal uses. You can also go to the vet supply store and get some for your horse. Not quite pure for humans. Let's not be doing that. We want to use pharmaceutical grade DMSO because DMSO helps things get absorbed. That's the number one purpose. Number two, it's a powerful, natural anti-inflammatory. And then, like I said, number three, it's a free radical scavenger. In fact, the best free radical scavenger that we have in our arsenal. So by itself, it's awesome. But if I can combine it with other things that will treat the symptoms of the chronic pain, then I've really got something. And we can do that. We can combine DMSO with frankincense, for instance, and we go from frankincense that is awesome and modestly absorbed to frankincense that is awesome and super absorbed. It really gets into the tissue to work its magic. And then we want to add a few other things that will manage inflammation and pain. So we're going to go with magnesium. Most chronic pain folks are short on magnesium. In fact, the vast majority of adults in, I was going to say the United States, but I actually have studies that go well beyond the US, where we're short on magnesium. That Epsom salt bath that you take sometimes to soothe everything, it's not just warming and soothing the joints or achiness that way. There's actually magnesium in the Epsom salt that's absorbed by the body, and it's really beneficial for helping your muscles to let go, to relax, to ease the pain. We'll also look at vitamin E to soothe frazzled nerves, hyaluronic acid to tamp down inflammation. And then we also like hemp. We really like what CBD can do. Now, we're careful about CBD because if you simply go to the vape shop on the corner and you buy some CBD, you don't really know what you're getting. we need to see certificates of analysis to know exactly which cannabinoids and terpenes are in that hemp. And what we're looking for is something that is full spectrum. We don't want isolates. An isolate would be like taking the frankincense, which is made up of scores of molecules, each doing their own thing. If we isolate one molecule, replicate it, and use it, we're going to get some benefit. The same occurs with hemp. We can do an isolate where we grab one cannabinoid and isolate that one and use it, and we'll get some benefit. What we want is the entourage effect of having multiple cannabinoids, just like we want the full essential oil, the full frankincense being applied. We want the whole thing. So when we work with hemp, we're looking for something that's full spectrum. We want certificates of analysis. We want a cannabinoid profile, and we require that of our suppliers, and then we back end test it ourselves. We'll use some of the same labs that doTERRA, for instance, uses to test essential oils. So we know exactly what's going in, we know exactly what came out, and then we know what's going on our body. And it's important because with DMSO, we're increasing absorption. So if I rub on my frankincense and then I layer on my DMSO, it's going to get absorbed. Likewise, if I layer on motor oil and I put on some DMSO, it's going to get absorbed. The beauty of DMSO is things absorb. So it's really important that we make sure what's going in. As far as our products, we've been at this for a while, and we've got an awesome following and some really great products. For the St. George event, we did hustle to get something done a little ahead of schedule. We were tuning up the formula for one of our outstanding formulas, and we were able to hustle and get it done and actually launched the new and improved version today to be ready for this call, to be ready for the energy healing event. And what I'm talking about went through quite a few changes. In fact, here's my last jar of experimenting. You might notice on our site there's no animal cruelty. It's because we have me as the ultimate tester. We don't test on animals, but when we come up with new formulas, I get to be the tester. Fortunately, I've got multiple areas on my body, knees, feet, ankle, back, lots of places to test the product to make sure that it works and it's getting done what we need. And then we set it out to labs to make sure that we verify independently that it's doing what we need. The product we tuned up is pretty awesome. And it's called, hope you can see that. No, pick up the wrong picture. It's called Royal Warrior Plus, Royal Warrior. And it's got the DMSO, the frankincense, D3E, boswellic acid, all kinds of amazing things that help with inflammation. And what we did is, as far as hustling, we got it hustled for a launch we actually did right before this call, right before this live, to offer this at 20% off. I think Tammy has the link that she can post, and you'll be able to go to our website and for a limited time get Royal Warrior Plus at 20% off. It's already an amazing package. Oh, hey, there it goes. Thank you, Tammy. It is amazing. If you've got aches and pains, whether it's soft tissue or joints, I guess really in the joints we're focusing on soft tissue, but we're looking for relief, Royal Warrior can get you back up and going. For me, it was important because I was missing out on too much of life. I was missing out on outings. I didn't mind if friends canceled. I didn't mind if somebody backed out last minute, if it involved an activity that would be difficult for me, because I just hurt too much. And I'm glad to be back in. In fact, I got so bad at one point, going to the movies was a challenge. I had to insist on sitting on the outside because I knew I had to get up and move around. I couldn't sit that long without my knees just aching miserably. Plane rides were tough. Going even just a couple of hours, Boise to Phoenix, about did me in. And now I'm in good shape. I'm fine if I use the product. The key, something we have to get across to some of our chronic pain folks, is we're dealing with a chronic condition. So I use the product daily. I have the pain daily. I use it before I go to the gym. I use it again later in the day because I need to have all of the inflammation reducing substances in me and working for me. So anyway, that was awesome to be able to get the production team, the marketing team to speed up the Royal Warrior Plus launch again today, and you've got the link there. And then in the St. George Conference next week, for some of our other products, I'm going to offer just a short-term discount code that's a deeper discount than we've ever had for anything. But I'm going to do that for the St. George Conference. I'm really looking forward to the St. George Conference, by the way. We love St. George. We're there every year. Might retire there someday. We'll see. It's just gorgeous. If you haven't been there, you need to go. And it's going to be a lot of fun. At that conference, I'm going to talk about some more of the substances that work and some things that don't work, how to get back in the game, how to manage the pain, how to get moving. And it's not just about the products, but also other modalities that can help you get back to doing what you need to do. If you're not moving, odds are you're probably not sleeping as well. That's part of a cycle that you just got to get a handle on. And what we do can really help with that, really get you back into the game and get you moving. So I'll go over that in my class next week in St. George. We'll have that coupon. I think I'll announce that during my class on Saturday and probably run it through midnight Sunday because it's going to be the deepest discount. Essentially, we're just giving everything away at cost for a very short period of time. And I'll let you know what that code is next week. If you're in the class, it's going to be awesome. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's all I've got, Tammy.
Play devil's advocate here for just a second, if that's even a thing, but I think it's a pretty common way to say what I mean by that. Okay.
Fire away.
Anyway, okay, so what if there was somebody that was super skeptical about a product like this? Tell me a little bit about what you were doing. You were sending it to labs. You have you've done clinical trials. Like what have you guys done to show that this works? I know that it works because you're using it and you know it works.
All right.
But beyond that, I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a second.
All right, we need to know that it works. We also need to know what's going into the product. We've got to be certain about what we're getting. If you use essential oils, and many of us in this crowd do, you want to know a couple of things. First of all, you want to know that you don't have junk in the oil, microbials in the oil that don't belong. So we do microbial testing for essential oils. We require that of our suppliers. We also want a terpene profile. We could have oil that isn't contaminated, but also might be a fake, or at least a partial fake. So we require that we get terpene profile testing. Gas chromatography is the way that you can figure out which terpenes are in the oil, and it's the terpenes that make it awesome. The terpenes are the part of the essential oil that do the wonderful things that we get from essential oils. So we require that from our oil suppliers. When we go to our hemp suppliers, we go through the same thing. We want organic, and they've got to provide certification of organic. Then we require testing. That testing will be, again, microbial testing and also profile testing. And we go through that for every ingredient. If we're reaching out to get magnesium, we want that magnesium to be certified organic and pure. And we've got to have the certificate in hand through independent testing. We go through every oil, every ingredient in exactly that fashion. Then, after we go through manufacturing, just to make sure nothing was introduced in the manufacturing process, even though it's a clean room kind of setting, we still send it out again, the same oils. We've already proven that they have the right stuff in, and we're going to check one more time to make sure that nothing else sneaked in. We'll do it a couple of ways. We're going to send it out for microbial testing, test everything that's in it. We'll also send it out for cannabinoid analysis and sometimes for the terpenes analysis to see that everything came out exactly like it was supposed to. And we required that for every single batch. And then recently we went through an independent testing for one of our products just to check for skin irritation and to check whether people react to it. And we sent that out to a lab in New Jersey that spent weeks going through a blind test, 50 participants, skin patch testing. It was pretty awesome to go through that whole process to see how the scientists do it, how the guys with all the letters behind their names write it up. And then to get the certificate saying it's pure, it's good, got the right result, no irritation. It was awesome. So we go through that rigorous testing to make sure that when we say it, it's really the right stuff.
Wow, this is awesome. Well, I am so excited. I was super hesitant to ask that question because I didn't want to put you on the spot too
I
much.
know. Good
I
question.
really felt like I was supposed to. And I have spent time on your website and literally put like, quite a bit in my cart. But then when I talked to you, you're like, well, we're going to be given some really amazing deals in St. George. I'm like, I'll hold off. I'm just so excited to grab some of this for myself. Now, you guys do have limited availability on your the stuff that you're bringing with you. So I would recommend people get into you, before the day even starts, literally. Like I would go run over there. I will be hitting your booth as one of my first booths. That's what I'm saying, because I want to make sure I get some before it's all gone. Sorry, y'all. I just want to make sure we're good there. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? What if somebody can't come to the conference, but they want to connect with you? Is there a way that they can do that?
There is. You can connect through email if you choose, toddbailey@herbalmana.com. You can see us on our website, of course, herbalmana.com. That's our primary website. We have a Facebook group, Herbal Mana Warriors.
Awesome.
It's becoming active. And then also at that conference next week, I'm going to talk about Royal Warrior in a little bit more depth, but also Pain Warrior, which is a broader profile of pain management, a broader profile of the sorts of things we need for chronic pain. And then Inner Warrior, that's a critical line. This one, I kind of question when my business partner son came up with this. This is going back a few years. He said, we need Inner Warrior because we have so many fibromyalgia sufferers that are not getting help. First of all, they don't get validation. They get questioned. They get pushed aside, and then they don't get any real help. And we work diligently again with our white coat lab kind of folks, figuring out what helps, what settles the nerves and symptoms of fibromyalgia, and developed a product, actually a couple of products, for fibromyalgia sufferers. And they've turned out to be our raving fans. We've got a lot of good followers, thousands of followers, and they're probably the most faithful. They absolutely love the Inner Warrior product and what it can do for fibro, because the fibro folks are already getting beaten up emotionally, socially shunted. It's just tough. Fibro is tough. And I'll talk in depth about that. That's part of what I'll provide that coupon for us. You can get at the Pain Warrior products. You can get at the Inner Warrior products. Oh, I almost forgot. Michael sprung this on me this morning. For any of our orders that are going right now for this deal, we've got a roll-on, which is an immune booster, but something else also that's awesome. For orders of $75, starting today, we're throwing in our essential oil blend, pure essential oil blend for Pain Warrior. And it's a pretty awesome add-on. He surprised me with that just before jumping on this live, and I think that's great. It is great to throw that in as part of this event.
Well, thank you so much. A friend of mine, Charlotte, says, so do you know how does this work with MTHFR disorder? And no, that's not an abbreviation for a bad word, everybody.
What the heck is MTFR?
MTHFR, it's a gene mutation. Okay, well, he doesn't know.
Right. He's put above my pay grade. I know a great many things. I would have to look at that. If she'll email me, toddbailey@herbalmana.com, I'll get a good answer, a real answer back.
Okay, that's awesome. We put his email there for you, Charlotte, if you want to go ahead and follow up with him. MTHFR is about how it's methylated with the B vitamins. So it's all about absorption, literally. My son was actually just tested for it not too long ago. That's how I know about it. But MTHFR
in the pain area. B3 helps to modulate the pain, helps with inflammation, helps with joint swelling, and it's in our products.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Just in the Royal Warrior, E, D3, B3, Magnesium, MSM, because they all have an impact. In a lot of the chronic pain folks, absorption is an issue, a big issue.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get ahead of that issue. In fact, we do.
Awesome.
Great question.
Okay, fabulous. And I'm just going to go ahead and redirect any other questions that you guys might have to his email, his private email there. Or you can join him on Facebook, his Facebook group, which is Herbal Mana Warriors.
Purple
Or
Line Warriors.
or here's his website as well. So there's lots of different ways to be able to get a hold of him. But come to the conference because it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I'm like, okay, lifetime of this. My husband recently got some injuries, and then also my mom has probably had like 6 to 8 surgeries as well. So I'm like, I keep texting her, Mom, jump on really quick. You got to listen to this guy, Todd.
Kindred spirit.
She's had fibromyalgia, well, as long as I can remember. So it's definitely a thing. And I really appreciate that you're somebody who just has a lot of compassion to reach out to these other people who do have, pain afflicting them and causing this pain in their life. So
Happy to help.
it's a big deal. And I really appreciate you. So I look forward to seeing you there. I'm a hugger, so I'll probably give you a big hug. All right. We'll talk to you then.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you guys, I highly recommend going to his website there, Herbal Mana. I don't know how to say that. Mana. But however you say that, I highly recommend going and checking it out because there's some great stuff on there. I really liked how he talked about how he does the third party, confirmation of the products that he's putting into his stuff. I just thought that was so cool. And then try it. If you don't know if it's going to work or not, try it and see if it works. You know what I mean? His prices are super affordable. Plus he's going to be doing some really good deals for us down in St. George. If anybody wants anything and you live nearby me and you're not going down there, shout out to me real quick and let me know what you want. And I'll maybe pick up a little order too. We'll see if he can bring some down specifically just for us. Anyway, I love it. I know, right? Lori says, I like how he experienced it on my level. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Well, very, very cool, you guys. Very good stuff today. I am going to be doing a Facebook Live next Thursday because Friday, we normally get on here on Friday, right? But I'm actually going to need that time to travel down there. And I recommend, there's some great things. If you're traveling in from other locations, there's the Kayenta art area. I don't remember what that place is called, but you can just look, do a quick Google search, Kayenta. And they actually have an outdoor labyrinth there. It's one of my family's favorites. We've been several times. It's free. It's a self-guided. It's absolutely beautiful. Do not go when you're by yourself and it's too late because a tarantula, this is a real thing, a tarantula wasp tried to get me. And then I Googled it because I was like, was that a real thing or what was happening? It didn't even look real. It was literally dragging a tarantula, a big old blue wasp looking thing with a big old blue butt. I mean, I cannot make this crap up. It was crazy. And it was dragging a tarantula that was paralyzed. And I looked it up. So I'm like, do not go there by yourself, please. Other people who are in the area are like, what? And I showed them the picture and they're like, that doesn't even look like a real thing. I'm like, that's what I was saying. So go there. Another place that's really good. It's maybe 6 miles out of town or 6 minutes, whatever, one of those. On a dirt road is this place called Sparkle Mountain. And you can go and you can mine your own selenite there for super affordable. There's a big sign. It tells you how to pay. But if you bring your own equipment, I don't know, a shovel or just some small hand tools and a 5-gallon bucket, you can get a whole 5-gallon bucket for $25. That's worth it to go check that out either the day before or the day after. And there's some fantastic places to go eat in St. George too. Sorry, I'm a foodie, so I'm just going to share you some of my favorites. I really, really, really like the pizza place that they have downtown. I'm gluten-free, and I definitely watch what I eat as far as food allergies and whatnot goes. And so I always try to make sure that I'm choosing some good options there. And the pizza place there, the Pizza Factory, is amazing. Oh my gosh, seriously. I am such a foodie. I'm like, we are going there. And then my husband and I went on this really nice little romantic dinner to this Italian place downtown, right near where the center of town is. I can't remember the name of it. Chef something. If you do a quick search for St. George restaurants, Chef something, it's a beautiful little historic pioneer home that they've converted into this little Italian restaurant. And it was delicious. Look, can you guys actually hear my mouth is watering? For reals, salivary glands perking up here. I'm sorry, I'm such a foodie. I'm like so excited. There's also this place that I really love that has Peruvian food. It's called Viva Chicken, and it's delicious as well. Anybody else from St. George, please go ahead and drop your favorite stuff that's nearby in the area. We've got so many fun things happening at the conference, but that's only Saturday, right? Our first class starts at 8 a.m. Our vendors are going to open just before that. So make sure you get in there as early as you possibly can. Hey, set your alarm. Go to bed early. You'll be fine, right? It's going to be a fantastic day. And then we've got right after our 8 a.m. Early morning class, we'll also have Dr. Bradley Nelson kicking off the day as well at 9 a.m. And then just class after class after class. You get to go to wherever you want, whichever classes, you know, are you're just really like going towards. And then you can also make sure you go and pay attention to the vendors. There's some great jewelry. One of my favorites companies ever. I put these on almost every freaking day. Is from in fact, let me just take this off and show you guys this really quick. This is called Vibe Jewelry Company, and they don't get to make it to every conference. They're very busy. They're highly sought after. They go all over the place, travel all over. But you can purchase their stuff online as well, vibejewelrycompany.com. By the way, if you use code Tammy, you're going to get free shipping and a free gemstone pendant when you purchase that. So those of you who can't go, but you want to be able to, I can't even take this off. I tied it in too big of a knot. Well, anyway, they're so fun. Does anybody else just love these? Look at all those. It's like a little gemstone recipe, right? I love them. That is it, Arlene. Thank you. It is so yummy. Any other favorites that you guys have that you're like, you must go there? Oh, the park there was so cool. So if anybody's bringing their kids down there, I love that one. It's so amazing. I do love Vibes Up too, but this is not the company. The company is called Vibe Jewelry Company. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. All right. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. Love you guys. See you.